So I think I have started my recording. Okay. So yeah, so and also if you see a browser or if you want to see a button on whatever maybe you are opening a standalone application on any operating system like Skype or maybe Microsoft Word or maybe something like some you find a lot of applications on on your operating system, and every application will have some GUI components like button, text box. Even if you take this as an example here, what I can do here, okay, see if I'm going to open Skype here. Hold on. See you see some text boxes here, you see password, you see some sign up and create. See, all these are components what you see in your operating system. These we say as a standalone application which is more related to your operating system. So if I want to basically design a button like this, uh, before just to create a button we used to have some thousands lines of code to design this, and if anything gets failed, it's very difficult to see the code, right, where it is failing, because in thousands lines of code it's very difficult to understand. uh, it's very difficult to understand as well. It's very difficult to fix it because issue may be somewhere else and the code is failing somewhere else. So it may be a possibility that something is expecting to come to the next line and that line is not doing it, and you find some other line is failing, and that the before line maybe it cannot be exactly the before line, it can be some other line at some 500th line and the issue is failing at 999. So the debugging or maybe to basically design the implementation was a bit complicated. So that is where Java came with concept called object oriented programming language, where it become very easy, and also it's very easy, and the framework what they have designed surrounding object oriented programming language was divide and policy, where they have they have divided the concepts in such a manner that you can easily track the problem and you can easily fix the problem. Okay, so I'll come there, like how that happened. So the thing is that the most important thing why Java is easy, that because the way you can use it, the way you can implement it, the way you can execute it, it's very easy. And uh, and people, suppose like you have written some code and somebody is trying to understand your code. It is very difficult in other language like C plus and C. That basically Java gives a very good flexibility where irrespective of who has written the code, anybody can understand that code when they have a problem with the product or maybe the particular model what you're going to design. Okay, so so you're able to listen me? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So where I am actually, okay, I got into a different PPT. Okay. So that's what we covered. Easy to learn now, and is an object oriented program, and all these things will be practically shown you. Don't worry. Java has rich API. What is the rich API? Is like as I told you about button example. You know, uh,
Excuse, excuse me, Arvind, can I interrupt you? A
yeah.
second.
Go ahead.
What do you mean by the object-oriented programming language?
That is where I'll come there. I'll come there. Who is this, Lavanya?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to cover that. Don't worry, because that is what my next. We have a lot of PPTs, and after that, I'll come to object-oriented programming language. No need to worry about it. I'll be covering that in the session. In this session only. Don't worry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Java has a rich API. Okay. So okay, let me do one thing. Maybe you are not understanding the terms what I'm using here. So let me go to object-oriented programming language. Okay, that we'll do that way, because I think a lot of question marks I see. And okay, object-oriented programming language is basically divided into four concepts. Okay, So coming there, wait a minute. Here is object-oriented programming language. So you are able to see my screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you see a lot of elements which are, can you please go on mute? I see background noise here. Okay. You see this particular page, you see a lot of components. You see abstraction, polymorphism, access specifies, classes, inheritance, and so on. So what is object-oriented programming language? So as soon as when you see object-oriented programming language, there are four important elements which has to come into your mind, right? Those are abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. Let's just remember these terms now, and then maybe I'll try to go each and everything. So before I get into object-oriented programming language, let me give a good example here. Let's start with abstraction here. What is abstraction? Let me take a mobile example here, which is because this is my favorite example to take for every concept. So let me take a mobile thing. So normally, what you do with a mobile, right? Normally, you basically take your phone and you try to call somebody, you try to browse something, or you try to open an application. You do a lot of things on the phone, right? So let me take a dialing example here. Let me take a dialing example here. So from the end user perspective, what you're doing, you just open your dialing button, you just click the dialing button, and then you try to type the numbers, and then you do a calling. So, but you really know what is happening in the background? If you don't know what is happening in the background, as an end user, I see that I'm just taking one dialing, just I click a dialing button, I get some interface, and in the interface you have some buttons, number buttons, and then you're trying to put some numbers there, and then you're trying to call somebody, and automatically that input will be taken to the phone, and that will do some processing, and then it will try to connect to the near tower, and the tower will try to connect to the number which you're dialing, and that number will be dialing, and then you got connected to that number. You see, irrespective of, even though you are not aware of how the phone is handling the request, you are able to dial this, right? So there will be interface being given to you, and you are only meant to basically use it. You don't care, you are not meant to see the thing what is happening in the background, right? So this is nothing but an abstraction. So what is abstraction is giving an easy path to you and handling the complicated part in the back. So basically what is happening is abstraction is basically hiding the complexity, and it is actually trying to create a, trying to create a security on the implementation. Only thing what abstraction is giving you an interface to basically use it. So when I say abstraction here, what is that means is the interface what you see being exposed to you as an abstract, and then the implementation is handled in the back. You're getting my point? So implementation handled in the back. So abstraction is nothing but a design which being exposed as an interface, and where the complexity has been handled in the back. But who is handling this complexity? What is a concept which is handling the complexity, or what is the concept which is actually trying to implement it? Because the point is that as soon as you dial the number, a calling being sent to the back, but somebody is there, somebody has to be there to basically take that input, process it, understands it, and it should process it, should basically sends the response back to you by getting connected to that particular person to whom you want to dial. So that particular thing we call as encapsulation. Okay, so there are two important things they may ask you in the interview. Very, very important questions they'll ask in the interview is what is an abstraction, what is encapsulation. So very simple explanation you can use. Abstraction is a design, and encapsulation is an implementation of the abstraction. You're getting my point? So abstraction is a design which you will be exposing as an interface, which you can take a mobile dialing example, and the implementation been handled by encapsulation. So encapsulation basically will take that input, process that input, and then basically send you the results back to you. And that will be again be showcased an interface. Again, it can be an interface to showcase. So it's like a very strong relation will be built between. Can you please go on mute?
It's okay. You can listen. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I think let me again explain you what is abstraction here. Abstraction is nothing but a design or a as an interface which will be exposed to use it, and implementation will be handled by encapsulation in the back. So what we are trying to achieve with objective with these concepts is you're trying you as an end user you are only meant to use it. We don't you're not allowed to see what is happening in the back, right? If you're able to see what is happening in the back, then you're actually trying to show, you're trying to expose whatever been designed. It can be copied. A lot of things can happen once you see the implementation. So there are two things we see. One thing is the interface, and second thing is implementation. And also you're trying to create a security to the code so that nobody can access their source and nobody can see how the implementation is done. So all these things basically, all these things been handled by encapsulation, where encapsulation will take care of implementation as well as hiding the code to the outside world. Okay, and abstraction is something that will expose the interface whichever is required, and it will not expose whichever is not required. Let me tell you an example, like one more example. You basically do online shopping, right? You do a lot of online shopping, right? So what happens is when you go to your credit card verification, uh, you basically try to put your credit card, and then you try to put an expiry, and then you're trying to put something like that. And what your perception is that, okay, if I my card is correct, and if my number, if the thing is correct, I can basically do my transaction. But the problem is that without, there are some things happening with this which is unknown to you. For an example, that you basically, as soon as when you log in, whenever you put your credit card into the transaction, the background code, addition to what it has to do, there will be some security checks it will be doing in the back, which you people are not, which you may not be knowing. Like it may be trying to extract the location where you're trying to log in. It will also see that from which IP you're trying to access that, and is that some IP which is new to this particular transaction. And sometimes you may be seeing a weird information that we see a they say we may be seeing some pop-up error saying that you're actually, this is the first time you're trying to access from this machine, or please try to basically try to answer a secret question. But thing is, what you have given there and what you're actually being asking doesn't have any relation, because you will be in a person, you will be in assumption that as soon as I enter my credit card and my expiry date and also whatever the CV code, you should log in. But sometimes it doesn't happen, because whatever the changes you do, we are lacking, the internal code will do some additional verification which you may not be knowing, and which you are not giving input for that to do that. You're getting my point. So abstraction is also doing two things. One, it is not exposing, it is only giving an interface, and also it is not it's not exposing non-related things which end user should not know, right? So there are two things we see. Abstraction is abstraction is interface or a design, and also abstraction is only exposing things which are required to the end user. Encapsulation is basically an implementation of that design, and also it is actually trying to hide the code of implementation. Okay, so any questions on abstraction and encapsulation? No questions? Uh, Try to tell me yes or no so that I can move on to the next topic. Let me start with Lavanya. Are you clear on the concept?
Yeah, can you explain one more time
Yeah.
about?
Okay. What about others? Nirmala, Priyanka. Can you hear my voice? Nirmala, Priyanka. I think you are on mute. Can you unmute, please? No. And is Sayed on the call? What is happening, man? I see a new person, Drupal. Hello? Yeah, I'm just expecting you to answer this. So, are you clear on the concept, Nirmala? No, I think there's some. Okay. So, Priyanka, no, I can't hear Nirmala. Okay. Priyanka, are you clear on the concept? Still, you have any questions? Okay. Yes. And Drupal, hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you explain one more time because I joined just before 5 minutes ago?
Okay. I think somebody got disconnected as well. Okay. So, okay. So you want me to explain again? That's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I expect you to people to join 5 minutes before the session. So please be there 5 minutes before because I cannot repeat
Uh,
the this thing. I think I can cover this time because this is a concept. I don't want you to miss this. But in coming time, I want you to be 5 minutes before the session. Okay?
okay. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry for that.
No problem. So, see, we were talking about object-oriented programming language where there are four elements to basically concentrate right now is abstraction, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance. But the most important thing to understand is the abstraction encapsulation. So, what is abstraction and what is encapsulation? So, let me take example of a phone as well here. So as I explained before, you basically take your phone and you want to dial somebody, right? So what you do basically, you try to click the dialer button, and then you there's a pop-up comes up, and there will be interface will be exposed. Interface is something that the window which has some blank space and some dialing numbers, and then we'll be having some calling button to call. So what you do normally is you try to call whatever the number you want to dial, and you try to click that button, and then within some seconds you see that you're basically connected to the person whom you want to talk. But if you see from the phone perspective, there are a lot of things will be happening as soon as you try to dial some number and try to dial that, right? What is happening is as soon as you try to dial the number, technically what happens, the number will be sent back to your mobile, and in that some processor will be processing your number, and then the phone trying to send a signal to the near tower, and the tower guys will try to reach the number where you're trying to dial, and it will try to connect one more tower, and from that tower it will be processed again, and then we'll be connecting to the concerned person, and once the person takes the call you get connected. So you see, you're just from the end user, you're only supposed to dial the number and click the dialer button, but you are completely hidden from the complexity what it has been handled in the back, right? So from the end user, you are not supposed to know how it is happening, you're only supposed to know how to use it, right? So the interface what you see, whatever the dialer, but the dialer window whatever you see, in Java we call as abstraction. So abstraction is basically nothing but an a design or interface which is expose you to use. And also abstraction also says that abstraction also do says that you are not supposed to know whatever we do in the back. You are not being supposed to do whatever you're doing. That means the thing is that the abstraction is only exposing the interface which you are supposed to use, but internally the implementation, security, and access of the code, whatever been happening, you're not exposed, right? So who will be doing all these things? What is the concept which basically take the input from this abstraction or interface and will be actually doing this implementation? That is nothing but encapsulation. Okay, encapsulation is basically a real implementation of this design. So abstraction is basically a design which been exposed to you, and encapsulation is an implementation which will fulfill your design, which you're trying to use it and trying to basically implement it, right? So encapsulation is basically what it does is whatever the number you're trying to dial, it take that number, it go through some of the code execution, whatever the implementation, and then it serve your purpose. So again I repeat, abstraction is a design or interface, and encapsulation is an implementation of that design. Okay, so other two things to see here is that is the basic concept what we see. Again I repeat, encapsulation is a real implementation of the abstraction. What is abstraction is a design which has been exposed to the user who want to use it. Okay, but if you see a different perspective, the implementation is not exposed. You are not seeing what is being implemented. You are not being exposed what is how that implementation is being done. You don't know how that business logic is being handled or how this input is being processed in the back. So that is something you're actually trying to hide, that particular code or maybe the implementation, and that is nothing but that is also one of the concepts we see from encapsulation. So what the encapsulation is doing is it is even though it is doing an implementation of the code, but still it is not exposing how that implementation is being done. Okay, so that is one of the part of encapsulation. But if it comes from the abstraction perspective, what I told in the beginning is abstraction is only exposing the interface which the end user is supposed to see, but it is not exposing the other things what is happening in the background. Okay, there will be some overlapping what I'm discussing, but I'll try to differentiate so clearly here. If you take a credit card, maybe you have covered before, if you take a credit card, you're trying to do some transaction on a particular, maybe you're going to Amazon, you're trying to do some transaction, and at the end of the day you will try to basically put your card number and expiry date, and then you put some CV number and then submit. You are expecting that my card will process and my transaction will complete, but suddenly you see a surprise pop-up saying that can you please enter your secret question answer. I'm not expecting that to do that, because that is something suddenly it may be surprising, or you sometimes you say weird why this is coming now, and you got into tension saying that oh something happened to my account or somebody hacked my account. That's kind of impression you see as soon as you see. But the thing is that what is happening is as soon as you put a submit button, once you enter all this information, some unknown verifications will be happening in the back, right? Some unknown verifications will be happening in the back, like which location you're trying to do this transaction, and and also uh, being you're coming from a different IP, because maybe before transaction you have done from the mobile, or maybe you are doing some continuous transaction from the same system, and now they see that the IP got changed. So as soon as they see this information, as soon as the input, see if you see that whatever you are sending is a different input data, but whatever addition to input data, other input data also will be carried forward to the server for the verification, right? So in the server what happens, it will see the location IP, and then it realizes that let me do one security check, because before I do some processing, because it may be a possibility that somebody has stolen your card or somebody has hacked your credit card information and is trying to do this transaction. So what it does is it will ask you a secret question, and then if you're able to answer that, then you're able to complete the transaction. So what is happening is abstraction is also trying to uh, uh, hide something which the user is not meant to see. You're getting my point? So from the design perspective, if you see, I entered the card, and then I submit it, and then you see a response. In the place of seeing a response that your transaction is complete, you see a secret question. Means the design is not at all, it's not only at the end user level, but there is some design been given in the back to basically fulfill your requirement. So you're saying what is that means is there are some things being exposed as interface, and you can imagine that this implementation is happening, but there are some things which are not exposed to you, but that implementation is also happening in the background. So that is also a part of abstraction to explain. Okay, so you try to understand the concept here. They may ask you this because it's a very important question they'll ask you, and you should be very clear in explaining this concept. So coming to the baseline, abstraction is a design or interface which is exposed to the end user to use it, but it is not exposing the implementation, or it is not exposing the design how it is been implemented in the back. Okay, and encapsulation is something where it's a real implementation of that design, and also it is actually trying to secure your implementation to outside world. Okay, any questions here? I think you are pretty clear. Are any other questions here, Lavanya, Drupal?
No,
Is that clear?
definitely.
Okay. What about Drupal?
Clear.
Clear. Any questions you can ask me,
Yeah.
because this is what will be, the whole core Java will be depending on this concept only. So you'll be writing a lot of code on depending on this concept, and so that I don't want you to, if you have any question, you can ask me right now. Okay. Okay. So before I go to inheritance and polymorphism, let's talk about the most important terms you'll be using in core Java is object and class. Okay. So what is object and what is a class? Okay. Let me take one more example here. Human being, or maybe I can say, like, okay, human being. You take an example of human being, right? What are the attributes of a human being? Can you tell me what are the attributes of human being? Let's start with Lavanya. What are the properties of human being? Let me see you got my question or not. Lavanya, you're on the call.
Yeah.
How you
Is
define what are the properties of a human being? Maybe you are not getting my question. Anybody can answer here. What is the property of a human being? What are the properties of human? What are the attributes of a human being? Very simple, right? Human being will have two legs, two eyes, 2 ears. A lot of properties we'll see from human being, and every property will have its own action to do it. What will do if I'm saying I have two eyes? What the eyes are doing? They are seeing, right? If I'm having two legs, what the two legs are doing? They are doing walking. So it's a noun and a verb relation, right? Eyes are something we can consider as noun, and what that noun is doing is something it's seeing it, right? And if you see, I have two hands. What I'm doing, I'm trying to do bowling. I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to, dance with my hands. So sort of action I'm doing with my hands. If I have two legs, I will walk. So every attribute. So let me take attribute is something like the property of human being. So when I say property of the human being, a human being is having two eyes, a human being having two legs, and two human being having 2 ears, and human being has one nose, one mouth, and so on. But all these properties has is also doing something for you. Like nose, actually it smells; teeth, it basically try to achieve whatever you are trying to eat. So every property of a human being also doing some kind of action, right? So when I say attribute, okay, and here you see two terms here. One is an attribute, one is an action, right? Eyes is an attribute, seeing is an action. Nose is an attribute, smell is an action. Legs is an attribute, walking is an action. Okay, is that clear on the concept of attribute and action? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I only see yes from Lavanya. I don't know what happened to other people here. Just you can type me on the chat so that I can continue. Yes or no. If you have any question, you can unmute and talk. If you are fine with what I'm explaining, you can say yes. Okay, because I need a verification because I don't want to run so what about Priyanka and Nirmala, Drupal? You're clear? What is this attribute? What is a property or attribute? And what is a action? Clear. Okay. Now, a class is a combination of this. You're getting my point? A class is a combination of this. A class is a combination of property and action. Okay. You're getting my point? If you combine these two concepts in a block of code and then you're exposing this block of code, then this is nothing but a class. So a class is nothing but a combination of attribute and action. Okay, I'll come bit detail, but before I go detail, I'll talk about other things, right? So a class, I say class is a virtual entity. When I say virtual entity, I cannot see it, right? Virtual is something which I cannot see, which is somewhere we see virtual entity is something like it exists but we cannot see. Again, I come back to human being example. Can I see human being? No, there is no human being I can see. It's a concept what I see. Until it become Arvind or until it become Lavanya or until it become Drupal or until it become Priyanka or until it become Nirmala, I cannot say it exists, right? So human being doesn't exist. It's like a virtual, or it can be a blueprint, or it can be a template which doesn't have any meaning until it become a physical entity, until it become a real, until it become to a reality, right? So that reality is nothing but an object. So class is a virtual entity and object is a real entity. So if I create a human being class, when I say human being, I have designed a human being saying a human being having two eyes, two nose, two legs, and this the eyes will do this, legs will do this, and what else? Mouse will do this. Until I come and say I want this means until it didn't become Arvind, you cannot see that implementation of it because once I become Arvind only that nose start working, the eyes started working, and the legs start working, right? So what is happening is class is an virtual entity which will have the implementation, which will have the the concept or the design, and the object is basically a real implementation of the class. So what is happening is class is a virtual entity, object is a physical entity. Okay, class is a template and object is an actually a real thing happening there. Okay, so any questions here? Yes or no? No. Okay. So you take lot of examples like human being. You can take a car. You can take anything. Now you can easily relate it. What is a class and what is an object? If you say car, car is a okay. So car is a class, and maybe a Mercedes Benz is an object. Maybe a BMW is an object. So a car is something which is car is something which is a template or a blueprint or something, a virtual entity. But once you create an object for the class, then that become a real entity. Okay. Let me ask you some different questions here. So Lavanya, can you give me one more example of class and object here? Hello.
Hello.
I want one more example of class and an object.
Object is pen.
Hmm?
Object is pen.
Okay.
And the class is the writing.
No, I think you didn't get the concept here. Okay, let me move on to Drupal. What do you understand by class and an object?
Maybe we can take a company as a class, and employers we can take as a object.
No, no. This is a very bad example you took, Drupal. Okay, and what about Nirmala? Okay, television is what? Is a class or an object? What is a class? No, 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 no. Nirmala, I'm not talking about what is a class here. What I'm asking is I need a different example of how you can relate it a class and an object. Okay, move on to Priyanka. How you define an object and a class? Priyanka, you there? Yes. Oh, can you give an example of class and object? Very simple. I don't know why you are not able to get this answer. Very simple, right? As I've told you, a good example of human being. Human being is something. It's a virtual entity. I cannot see a human being until he become Arvind, until he become somebody, right? In the same way, I took a car example. Car won't exist until it is showcased as Mercedes Benz. Until I don't see a car on the road, it is not something I can see, right? So car can be something, a concept which you're trying to implement it and create an physical entity which you can see. Human being is also a concept which being a concept where it's been implemented and created as Arvind, right? So human being is something we can say as a virtual entity and Arvind as an object for that. In the same way, car also can be a virtual entity and Benz can be a physical entity which you see, which you can see with your eyes. Human being I cannot see with my eyes. Can I see a human being? No. In the same way, if I say I see a car, then the first question, which car you have seen? The immediate question, if you go and say somebody that I've seen a car, then there's the immediate question they'll ask which car, right? Which car means he's saying that he's asking what physical entity you have seen. Then you will say that no man, I've seen Mercedes Benz. And if you see, some human being came and hit me, he'll say, which human being? What is his name? They'll ask the question. Immediately you'll say that I know, yeah, that is Arvind. So human being is a virtual entity which you cannot see until it become a physical entity that is nothing but an object here. Are you clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Okay. But then I need an example for this, Lavanya. I need one more example so that I get a confirmation that you people understand the concept. What is the other example you can give me for a class as an object?
Mm, the class is something, the template, or it's a
No, no,
blueprint.
no, 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 no. I'm not asking you with the definition, Lavanya. I need one more example how I took car and Mercedes Benz, human being and Arvind. I need one more example you can relate to a class and object.
Okay. The chair is an object. Um, the class is which type of chair?
No,
Mm.
no. You are coming nearby, but that is not a right example. Okay, Nirmala is asking, Nirmala, yes, television is a very bad example. Television can be a class, television cannot be an object. I have given you a clue now. What can be an object for a television? Very simple, right? If I say LED, LED TV, I can't see LED TV. If I go and say somebody that I bought an LED TV, immediate question they'll ask, which LED TV you bought? You then you will realize that okay, I bought Samsung LED TV 42 inch. Or somebody one more say I bought LG's 42-inch LED. So until you see physically, you cannot relate it that to a class, right? So television is a class, and Samsung LED 42 inch is an object. Is that clear, Nirmala? Now give me one more example. This question to Nirmala now.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Can I give an example?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Give an example only.
The laptop is a class.
Uh,
Uh, the which brand is the, for example, it's a Dell. That is an
Excellent,
object.
excellent. You got the concept now. Who is this?
Lavanya.
Very good, Lavani. So the point is that the point is that I say laptop, but the laptop only comes to picture when it is being showcased as a physical entity, right? Laptop has attribute, laptop has actions, but somebody is there to implement it and showcase, right? If I say very simple, right? I come to a company, suppose like let I take an example of Lenovo. I work for Lenovo, and I go that okay, we have to design a laptop. The point is that as soon as design a laptop, what they'll see is how much RAM we require, how much hard disk we require, how much what the processor we are going to use, and so on. So all these designs happen, and then the whole workflow chart, who how much of battery we are giving to give, what will be the shape of the laptop, what is the size of the screen, and are we supporting Bluetooth, are we supporting Wi-Fi? Everything is on the design. Everything they'll design. Okay, this should be my structure. All my PPT is done. All my presentations are done. Then once the design is done, then what is happening is this design will go to the actual manufacturing laptop division, where they'll take this design and started building that, right? So Lenovo, what will do is Lenovo, they release three models. One is a Yoga, one is a IdeaPad, one is a ThinkPad, right? So so what is happening is the design phase of all these things is nothing but a class. It is not, even though it is in discussion, even though it is in PPTs, even though we are saying this much of RAM, this much of stuff, still it is not been, it is not been made, there is no meaning of that, right? It is not been made, there is no meaning of that. That how it is being done is they'll create one laptop called Lenovo ThinkPad T410. So what is happening is this T410 I can see. So when the T410 given to the person who has designed it, then he'll say that okay, that design is been properly made, and I can see through this model. You're getting my point now? What's the class and an object here? So the design, the concept will be handed the class, and the real thing will be implemented using an object here. Okay, is that clear with the concept? Yes or no? Okay,
Yes.
okay. Uh, what about Drupal? Are you clear on the concept?
Yes.
Yes. So can you give one more example here, Drupal? What is a class and
We
what is an
can
object? Yeah.
take a example as a dog as a class,
Mm.
and object is like behavior, and state like a color, and
No,
sleep.
no, 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 no. No. Again, you're going in wrong direction, Rupal. Okay. Can somebody can fix this? What she's explaining here? Dog. What should be a class for a dog? I'll ask. Dog is an object for me. What is a class for a dog? I'll ask Drupal the same question. I'm coming back to the Drupal here. Assume that dog is an object. What should be a class for the dog?
Animal?
Excellent. Excellent. So animal is an class and dog is an object here. Dog cannot be a class. Okay. You're getting my point, Drupal now?
Yeah.
So animal is a virtual entity we cannot see until it become a physical entity, that is nothing but dog. So dog can be an object for animal, tiger can be an object for animal, whatever the animals you see on your real life, all those are objects and the concept behind that is a class. Okay. So I think Lavanya got the actual concept here now. So let me move to Priyanka. Can you give an example here of class and an object? Okay. What is an object? Okay, different brands. So Samsung, Sony, and so on, right? Okay, that's nice. What about Nirmala? Nirmala, you're on the call. Okay, I don't see any response. So I assume that. Okay, can you give an example of object and a class here from your side? I think so many some all the examples been picked by other people. You're not getting an idea or what? I think there are a lot of examples to take here. Still, I am expecting an example from you, Nirmala, from class and object. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I think this session will go a bit slow until you are understanding the concepts. I'll try this bit slow only because I want you to be strong on the concepts. Then I'll fast my pace. Okay. So, still thinking, Nirmala? Okay, I think maybe I can continue, and once you get an idea, just try to ping me because I don't think you need to really take this much of time to give an example here, Nirmala. I think I'll go back to Drupal now. So I need an example, Drupal. Again, one more example on class and object. Hello, Drupal, you're there on the call.
Yes.
Yeah. How what can you give one more example of class and object?
Like a bike as a car class, and like a type of the bike, like Honda. Example is a Honda is the
Excellent,
object.
excellent. Very good, very good. You're on track now. So yeah, so there are a lot of examples. Like I can say shape. Shape can be something, every shape will have length, breadth, distance, height, weight, everything. But it may differ from different shapes, right? You have a rectangle, you have a triangle, you have a square, you have a pyramid. So that is also one of the examples. Okay, class actor, super, Lavanya, excellent, excellent. But coming there again, I'm coming there now. So Let me go inside now. As I'm assuming that you're done with this now, let me go inside now. Let's take an example of animal here. Okay, what animal can do? Animal, uh, how animal can shout or how animal can talk. Let me take an example of. Let's take this as an example. Okay. Now I have a class which says that I have an action called talk. Okay, let's take an example of animal. I have a let's assume that a class called animal is having an action called talk, and now what is happening is now even once it become object of dog, what happens? What happens is it is nothing but an implementation of that. So we say dog bark like bobo. So this is how the dog will talk, right? You're getting my point. Now, if the same animal, if we are going to create an object for cat, how it will talk like meow meow. So the problem, the important point here, what you're trying to do is, even though you have done the design, the implementation will vary in between. The implementation may vary based on the object. You're getting my point. The design is the same. The talk, see, the talk is the same for all the animals. That is a there's a main property of animal where it can talk, but how it talks is differing here. Dog talks in different way, cat talks in different way, tiger talks in different way, and other um, peacock talks in different way. So every animal, every object of the animal may behave in a different way, but it will have a common action called talk. Now you got the concept why we need an object and why we need a class. So class is a something like a design or an implementation of that. But when you're trying to create an object, you will be trying to show the actual behavior by creating an object of that. Right? So I say talk. What is the talk? Until it become bobo, it doesn't make any sense. If I say an animal is having a talk, so dog comes and says I'm an object of this particular animal. Then dog says that I basically talk like this. Again, the cat says that I belong. I am an object of this class, and I basically talk like this. You're getting my point, Lavanya, Nirmala, Priyanka, and Drupal.
Yes.
Yes. So even though class is a blueprint or a template, the implementation may vary. The implementation may vary based on the object what you're creating. Animal, it can be a super, it will be on the top, but as soon as that property is being taken care by dog, the properties which are taken care by tiger, the properties which are taken care by cat, the behavior changes here. The behavior is changing here even though the action is the same. You got it, right? You're getting my point,
Yes.
right? So this is nothing but we call as polymorphism. One action, different forms. Even though the action is saying about talk, if the action is saying talk, but the problem is that the implementation is varying from the dog to cat and cat to tiger. Got it? So what is polymorphism is one action, different forms. So one action is nothing but a talk is an action, but the forms are bobo, meow, and whatever you say from the tiger. Is that clear from the polymorphism concept?
No, no, I'm not clear.
Okay. See, you know what is talk, right? Okay, let me take human being example only. Maybe we are from different places, right? We are from different places. If you say India has some 23 states, 20 or maybe 25, 27 states, and every state has its own language, right? You got it, right? So now what is happening is very simple, right? If you say human being, if you take human being as a class and Priyanka as an object, or maybe Lavan as an object, There will be one action which I am defining at the class line, that which language you speak, right? Which language you speak. The point is that the language you speak is a design from the class. But the problem is that as soon as it become Arvind, what you're going to say is, I basically talk in Telugu. You come and say I basically talk in Marathi. And basically when Priyanka comes, she'll say that I talk in Tamil. So the point is that the design, it is not talking about which language you're talking about. The design is saying that you will speak with some language, right? But as soon as it comes to implementation of an object, you're saying that I am actually speaking Tamil, I am actually speaking Telugu, I am actually speaking Marathi. So the form is changing here. Even though the action is same, the form how you behave is different, right? So you talk in Telugu, she talks in Tamil, I talk in Hindi, right? You're getting my point now. What is polymorphism? Polymorphism is nothing but basically an action, and it's an action with different forms. Okay, let me take a different example. Again, one more example here. I'll take a phone. Okay, every phone will have a Bluetooth, right? You're getting my point. So as per my design, the Bluetooth is something which is the basic functionality of a mobile design, right? But the point is that if this Bluetooth, let's take a Bluetooth as a class now. Okay, Bluetooth, if you go more in detail, Bluetooth as a class, and Bluetooth has its own attributes like what kind of frequency, what kind of uh, calibrations, what kind of, it may have its own action to do, and it may have its own attributes to do. But the point is that Samsung comes and says that I want to implement my Bluetooth in this way because Samsung may be using a different chip, Sony may be using a different chip, HTC may be using a different chip, and iPhone may be using a different chip. But all these four has a common design of giving a Bluetooth to the phone. You're getting my point, Lavanya? Hello? You're here? Can you hear me? You're on mute. Hello?
Hello? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting your point.
Okay, you got the concept now. What is polymorphism?
Yeah,
Tell me confidently. If you don't understand, ask me again. I can give one more example as well.
yeah, if you could one more, please.
Okay. See, one form, different implementation. That's it. What I'm trying to talk about is one form is nothing but an action. See, you basically talk is an action where the implementation is differing, right? So if I say talk, dog talks in different way, cat talks in different way, and tiger talks in different way. Being its same action, they are doing a talk, but the implementation of the talk is changing, right? Like implementation, I think what the dog says, I bark in this way, cat will say I basically talk in this way, a tiger says I talk in this way. But the thing is that these three people are doing the same thing called talk. So talk is a kind of basically an action which is having a different forms of implementation. You're getting my point now? See, you know what is action, right? Action is nothing but, see, you have two legs where you basically walk. You have a mouth where you talk, right? But talk may change from person to person, right? You may talk in a different language, I may talk in a different language, somebody talk in a different language. You're getting my point, Lavanya? No? Okay, let me ask other people here. Let me go to Drupal. Do you understand what is the concept of polymorphism here?
Yes.
You got it? Okay. What about Nirmala? I see very slow response on Nirmala and Priyanka. Why, I don't know. Nirmala and Priyanka, you there? Okay, you understand the concept? So yes, I yes is something you understand the concept here. Okay, so Lavanya, what about you now?
Now I'm clear.
Seriously, you are clear? Because all three people got understand. You're saying clear.
I'm clear.
Okay, so very simple, right? You have an action which is exposing a different forms, right? Talk is an action, but that action implementation is changing based on the person, right? Based on the human being, based on the person who is actually implementing that human being. So talk is something which is coming from human being class, but the talk is being handled in different ways by different objects. Say I have a like thing that Arvind will talk in different language. So that is what about polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but one action, different forms. Okay. Now, what is
Yeah.
inheritance? What is inheritance? Inheritance something like let's take a basic example. Inherit. We talk a lot of inheritance. I got inheritance. I got sugar. Somebody say because of because I got inherited 100 crores of property. Or I say I got inherited with diabetes. So a lot of inheritance terms we talk in our daily life, right? So a lot of inheritance we think and inheritance we basically nowadays it's become very common because lot of inheritance diseases we're basically getting it. But what is inheritance here? So what is happening is father and a child relation, right? Suppose like I have being I'm a father, I have my own properties, I have my own achievements in my life,
Yeah.
right? So for an example, my profession is a doctor. I have earned around 100 crores of property. Drupal, can you please go on mute? Okay, so I'm a doctor. Being I'm a doctor, I made some 100 crores of property, and basically I have something like diabetes, or maybe or something like basically uh, uh, you have some achievements in your life as a father, right? So as soon as when child comes and as soon as you have a baby or boy, then you're trying to inherit your properties to your child, right? So child, so what do you think? What do you think is okay? Being I'm a doctor, I want to make my child as a doctor, right? And whatever you're earning, whatever you make out of that, you're actually doing for your kids, right? So what is happening? You're trying to transfer whatever your achievements to your son, right? So basically, what is happening is child is inheriting all the properties of a father here. So when I say properties of a father, it can be a property, it can be the assets what he made, it can be the profession what he's doing, whatever the properties of a father, the child is trying to inherit. So what is inheritance is if a class, if a class inherits inherited by B class. Say A can be something like a Samsung. Because now let me go a little bit more of now. Think that if I have a mobile, right? Mobile is something which is at the top level, which is also called as a class. Now what is happening is now Samsung comes and says that I want to inherit mobile. Okay, so Samsung, what it says is Samsung, imagine that mobile is its parent. Now Samsung is trying to inherit its properties. 1 minute. So now Samsung has inherited some of the standard properties. Like if you say what are the standard properties of a phone is, it has dialing, it has Bluetooth, it has Wi-Fi. There are some standard things what a phone expects. Like there are some standard formats of phone. which actually if mobile will having. So mobile is a class now. Now Samsung comes and say that I want to inherit mobile here. Like how a child is inheriting the properties of the parent, in the same way Samsung says that I want to inherit the mobile here. Okay. Now the Samsung is inherited. Samsung has all the access what the mobile parent is having, like dialing, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, NFC, whatever you see in current mobile, everything get inherited. Now the point is that now the child also is a class here because it has inherited the properties of the parent. So inheritance happens between the classes. It doesn't happen between the object. Object is nothing. It is a different. It's a physical entity. We are still at the virtual entity. No, mobile is a class, A class, and Samsung is a B class. So what is Samsung is doing is Samsung is inheriting the properties of the mobile class. Now Samsung, I am at the Samsung class. Now what is happening is Samsung addition to the standard design of the mobile, Samsung also has some unique features to say that it has a edge LED, it has something like some kind of sensors which are more specific to Samsung. So what happens again? The Samsung, even though it has inherited the property from the parent, still Samsung will have its unique features to basically design. So Samsung will say, I have a edge LED screen. That is what the unique feature of Samsung. Now what happens is, so now I am at Samsung class. Now what happens is as soon as I have completed my design of the Samsung class, now I start creating objects for Samsung, saying that Samsung S5, Samsung S6, Samsung A1, Samsung A5, and Samsung A6. So what is happening is inheritance is something like you're actually trying to inherit your parent things to you uh, with the inheritance concept. But the point is, let's assume that you made 100 crores of property. Like as a parent, you made 100 crore of property. By virtue, by default, the child will have the complete access to the 100 crore property, right? Now, but if assume that the child has made addition to 50 crores, okay, now sometime what happens, the parent comes back and asks that I need the 50 crores of property. Okay, so it doesn't work because parent can only access whatever he has given to the child. Parent cannot have any right to ask what the child has achieved. You're getting my point. So whatever the things which are belong specific to the child, parent can't access them. Only thing what he can do is he can ask, come back to the same child, ask that, hey man, I have given you 100 crores and I'm a big problem. Can you please give me back that 100 crores? Because the parent doesn't know what achievement the child is having. Even though parent knows it, parent has no rights to ask that. So from top to bottom, the properties, the things, the properties or the actions what the parent is having can be given to the child. But whatever specific to the child being given, whatever the design which are being done at the child level cannot be accessible by the parent. Okay, any questions here?
Can you explain me one more time? I'm confused
Which area you are not clear? Because I have covered three to four concepts here. Which area you are not clear?
about inheritance.
That is what I covered, right? So you mean to say you were completely didn't understand the inheritance concept, or some part of inheritance you didn't understand?
Completely.
See, very simple, right? You basically inherit the properties from your mother or father, right? You got this point? Because see, so very simple, right? Your father. Let's take your father is a doctor, and you're trying. In many places we see that the doctor father. If the father is a doctor, the child also will become a doctor, right? You saw many places, right? So it is actually you're trying to inherit the property of the father to you. In the same way, maybe think that I have built my house. My father has built a house for me. That is what my achievement of my father. Now, what is happening as soon as I become a child to the father, immediately I have a complete authority on the property, because that is how the signs are, that is how the legal thing also says, right? As soon as you become a child to this particular parent, you have an access to the property of what your father is holding, right? So you're actually trying to inherit the properties of the father to you. As soon as you become child, as soon as you basically become a child to that parent, automatically the properties of that particular properties means it can be both, it can be attribute and action of the class, both you have an access to those members. You're getting my point?
Yeah, now I'm clear.
Is clear? So the thing is that you're basically trying to inherit the basically the design what you have kept in that A class, and you're trying to basically inherit that to the B class. That's very simple. Once I write the code, you'll be very, very clear in this concept, Lavanya. But from the
Okay.
concept perspective, this is how. So A extends B means, sorry, B extends A means B is a child and A is a parent. So whatever, as soon as you say that I am basically a child to this parent, immediately you get complete access to the parent. Means when I say complete access to the parent, whatever the parent is holding, either it can be a method or it can be an attribute, whatever you have written in that particular class is accessible by this particular child. In the same way, the example how we took the property example, where as soon as you become a child to your father, immediately you get access to whatever he has achieved in his life. It can be a property or it can be the profession, whatever, right? So but the thing is that it won't work in reverse way, right? Because even though you're inheriting a doctor, even though you are actually inheriting the doctor profession, it's not compulsory that you should become a doctor. So the child will have a different, even though he has complete access from the parent, still the behavior, still child also can have its own design, where child says that I maybe I see thing is that very simple, right? Maybe your father has done MD in general physics. Now your child child what will do is, addition to general physics, his father has recommended you to do something like or something like a different profession in medicine. So what is happening is, even though the profession is being inherited to the child, child also has achieved some additional thing which is more specific to the child, because parent doesn't know what child is, because child is something different here. Child has its own implementation, has its own design of thinking, right? You're getting my point,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So very important concept is, child can access all the properties of the parent, but parent cannot access the properties of child which are more specific to the child. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah. Can I give you an example for that? Let you know what I understand. It's like A is like my mom and B is my like that. I'm getting their both characteristics.
Can you explain? I didn't hear your voice. You're just, I'm getting like a hall feature, hall kind of sound, Lavanya. You're actually trying to talk on laptop, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Can you please repeat again?
If like A is my mom and B is my dad, I'm getting their both DNA. And and have my own characteristics. What?
Yeah, that is one of the good example to take. Yeah, you can take that as an example. It's very simple, right?
Yeah.
Parent
I
has
have them.
yeah, parent has some properties which you're trying to inherit to you, and also you can have your own properties to define. Okay.
Okay.
Priyanka is asking, we can create parent-child relation within a class. What is that question? I'm not getting it. See, parent is also a class, child is also a class. Priyanka, parent is a class, child is a class. So parent has its own. Parent has its own properties. Like properties is nothing but is a combination of attribute and action. Now, child comes and inherit those parent properties to the child. Now child will have complete access to whatever the parent is holding. Addition to that, child also can have some additional stuff which he can decide, which he can design. At the end of the day, both are classes and both are designs to see, right? As I took a Samsung example, mobile can be a class where mobile has some standard features like calling. Let's take an example of calling. Is a very standard feature of mobile. So mobile in mobile class, I have put one calling feature. But when once the Samsung inherits its as soon as Samsung become a child to mobile class, automatically Samsung will inherit the calling feature. So he don't need to really worry about thinking of calling because it's already inherited from the mobile class. Now what Samsung has to do is he should start thinking about how to design implementing Bluetooth, how to design implementing Wi-Fi. In the same way, in the same level, Sony also will try to inherit the property of the mobile of calling, but Sony will have a different implementation. It will have its own of, Sony is very good at sound, so it says it will have its own feature of how you can give better sound in the Sony gadgets. So Sony also is a class, right? You're getting my point? Yes or no? Yes or no, Priyanka? See, you see my screen now. This is what the polymorphism, what we're talking about, and see, this is what the inheritance. You see my screen now? Okay, let me expand the screen. See here, if you see my screen, you see a vehicle here, which has an ID and manufacturing, and then it's been inherited to transportation vehicle and a passenger vehicle, where even though it has inherited the number ID, vehicle number and manufacturer, but still the transportation vehicle will have its own additional feature called the capacity, and passenger will have a separate property called number of passengers. And if I go a bit detail of once again, the transportation vehicle is inherited by truck. Truck is saying the number of containers, and if you see the passenger there, it's inherited by car and bike. So car is saying number of doors, and the bike is saying what is the height of the bike. You see that you are able to see my screen now.
Yes.
This is a good example to see here. See, okay, somebody's pinging me. Yes. See, very simple. That vehicle is a class, no, which I'm assuming that there's some standard features in the vehicle called every vehicle will have a number and every vehicle will have manufacturer, and that is in being inherited by a transportation vehicle and a passenger vehicle. Now again, these are two different classes which they have inherited the vehicle class. So by as soon as they inherit that, this transportation vehicle will get the number as well as the manufacturer because it has inherited the properties of its parent. So now when I say transportation vehicle, being it has inherited the vehicle, so transportation vehicle also will have a number and also the manufacturing of the transportation vehicle. Addition to that, the transportation vehicle also has its own child property called what is the capacity of this transportation vehicle. In the same way, on the same level, you see one more guy is also inheriting the same vehicle parent, that is passenger vehicle. Here, the property is changing. It is in the place of in the place of asking you what is the capacity, it is asking how many passengers it can take. But both these classes are inheriting the vehicle, and both these classes has an access of getting a number to that vehicle and also getting which manufacturing these vehicles has been manufactured. Now if you see, go to the bottom again, you see the truck is inheriting the transportation vehicle. So what truck is, so truck definitely being it is inheriting the transportation vehicle, it gets an access to the capacity. Now truck has already inherited the capacity, so truck will say, I'll say 100 kgs. But addition to that, being the vehicle is inherited by transportation vehicle and the transportation vehicle is inherited by truck, so truck is having an access to all the parents what it has inherited. So what is happening is the truck is having an access to load capacity, vehicle number, and also which manufacturing, from which manufacturer that came. Okay. And if you see on the right side of the thing, it's a passenger vehicle. There it is also inheriting the number of the number which you are getting for the vehicle, and also which manufacturing, from which manufacturer this passenger vehicle is coming from. In addition to that, it has its own property, it has its own feature called number of passengers. But if you see, go to the bottom, you see again a car and a bike. Now what is happening is, car also will have passengers and bike also will have passengers. That is what it is inheriting from the passenger vehicle. But addition to that, the class also has a unique feature called how many doors it has, because that is what it's its own implementation of the car. And bike also has its own feature called the saddle height, or you can say it's an auto start or a manual start. So this is how the inheritance is. But from the concept perspective, all these are classes and all are in the form of design. Until it became an object, this doesn't comes onto the shape. Even though I'm talking about car, even though I'm talking about bike, even though I'm talking about passenger vehicle, even though I'm talking about vehicle, all these are classes here. These are not objects. And so what happens when this become object is, I say car Mercedes Benz. As soon as I say Mercedes Benz will say that my car will take 4 passengers. My number is so and so. I am coming from a Benz company. You're getting my point? Are you clear on the concept now? Lavanya?
No, Arvind, I didn't get it.
You're not clear?
No, not yet.
So tell me where you are stuck now.
Um, I get the truck and the car, that I didn't get it. I get the inheritance, the vehicle and the transportation of the passenger. I didn't get the remaining thing.
See, okay. Now you know vehicle. Okay. Now you know passenger has inherited the properties from the vehicle. That you are clear, right?
I'm clear.
What are the properties it has inherited?
Um, the both are the vehicle. The one is the transportation, the another one is the passenger.
No. My question is, you are saying that the passenger vehicle has inherited the properties of the vehicle, right? Because vehicle is a class which is inherited by passenger vehicle. That part is clear, no?
Yeah, that's clear.
And also the same vehicle is been again inherited by the passenger vehicle as well. So the two classes in parallel, they are inheriting the properties of the vehicle. This is clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Then if you go to the next level here, it is happening the same thing, right? Now the transportation vehicle is becoming a parent to the truck again. So here the vehicle is a parent to the transportation vehicle, and the transportation vehicle is becoming a parent to the truck. So it is inheritance to inheritance now here. What is happening is A, B. Okay, let me take see what is happening. B is inheriting the properties from A, and C is inheriting the properties from B. You're getting my point. It's hierarchical, right? So a
Yeah.
very good example, right? Your father, you, and your child. What is happening is, your father has some properties that you have inherited, and your child is inheriting the properties from you. But your child he's also inheriting the properties from your father as well, because
Yeah.
you're getting my point. Because we have seen many laws, right? The like, grandson can have the access to the forefather property. Why we are saying is that the grandson also have access to the parent and also their parent as well, right?
Yeah.
Got it? In the same way here,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead, Lavanya.
No, now I got your comment.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
So here the vehicle has its properties which are inherited by transportation vehicle. Now the transportation vehicle properties also inherited by truck. And truck also can be inherited by somebody else. A truck can also can be inherited by somebody else. So what is that person will have all the access to all this flow. So now if you see, the truck is having access to passenger vehicle properties and vehicle properties, right? In the same way, car is having an access to the passenger vehicle properties and the vehicle properties. Is that clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. What about others? Okay, okay. So let's end up the session today. I think it's like a over thing which is going into your head. So I don't want to break that. So is it what? So now I think you are very good at the concept like abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Tomorrow, what I will do is I will try to show that in a real code format, and also tomorrow I'm going to show how you write a Java code, how you compile a Java code, how you basically execute a Java code, and what are the things you require to set up this environment. Okay. Okay. So before I end up this call, any questions?
Hmm. Are you sending the today's video?
Yes, I'm going to upload today's video. Yes.
And which software we use for code Eclipse?
No, no, no. Who is this?
Drupal?
Okay, Drupal. So initially, for the first 1 week, I don't encourage you to do any ID. It will be a very, very normal notepad, and I want you to type it. I want you to go through a lot of compile problems. I want you to understand the code. So I don't encourage you to use any Eclipse or any ID right now. Okay. After 1 week, then I'll tell you to use Eclipse. Okay.
Because I already downloaded because I
That's
did
okay.
some Java, basic Java.
That's okay. That's okay. That is okay. There's no harm to download Eclipse. Keep that Eclipse for some time. Okay. And okay. Was this a first session? I didn't get the question, Priyanka. Where can I find the
She
course
was
content? So okay, so the point is that I am not going to send you the course content right now, Priyanka, because it will be a live training course what I'm going to give you, and whatever the code I'm going to type, that will be shared, that will be a course content. No, this is the first session, Priyanka. Don't worry, this is the first session and we start with oops. Okay. And I'm not
so
clear
this
why.
is not basic Java.
Huh?
Is this not the basic Java, right?
This is a basic Java only, right? No, I didn't get your question, Drupal. Again, you can repeat the question. What is your
Uh,
concern here?
is this a basic Java?
No, that's what. What do you mean by basic Java? Means you're talking about core Java?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a core Java. The training will be given on the core Java. Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I have also shown. I think you have not there, so that's the reason maybe you're asking these questions. Hold on, Priyanka. You're asking me very basic questions here. So this training is for Selenium, and we have to cover WebDriver. Okay, let me spend 5 minutes time here to understand what I'm going to cover, because you have not attended our last session. I think Nirmala may be aware of that, and Lavanya is aware of that. Is Can you please correct me if I'm wrong? Lavanya and Nirmala, you know what is the course content? Hold on for a minute, other people. I'm going to show you what I'm going to cover. But before that, I just want to make sure that these people also know the course content or not. Lavanya, are you there?
Yeah, yeah,
You know the course content, right?
yeah. You said you're going to cover the core Java and the Selenium WebDrive in Eclipse,
Yeah.
uh, RC.
Okay. Okay. That's great. So Nirmala, so maybe knowing these things I'm going to cover, but anyhow I'm going to recover that what I'm going to cover now. So hold on. So okay, here I'm going. Here I go. So you see my screen now? Drupal, Priyanka?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So in core Java, I'm going to cover object-oriented programming concept, collections, IO operations, reflection, conditions, design patterns, and exception. So in this concept, we'll be a lot of having a child concepts which I'm going to cover on live, and that will be. And also, I'm not going to give any ready-made notes for you until I reach Selenium. So Selenium, you get some notes, but even that also, what I'm going to teach you, that is what you need to take, and you will be exposed with all the videos, and also I'm going to expose all the code content whichever I'm going to type and whichever we are going to write in this course. I don't have any. I don't follow any predefined process. I go on live and I write the code in front of you, and I expect you to write the code in front of me. Okay, is that clear? But don't worry, all these things whatever we do in the training program will be shared where, even though if you see from the video perspective or maybe ppts or maybe whatever the java files, whatever the code you are going to write. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the core Java, we are going to cover this. Addition to this, a lot of areas we'll be covering packages, static. In, these are all big things. From the concept wise, collection is also a big thing. I operation is a big thing. Reflection is also a very big concept. This from the 1,000 feet level, these are things which I'm going to cover for the core Java. And in that, what you see addition from other course content, what you see from other places, the collections which I'm going to cover additionally, the reflection which I'm going to cover additionally, and also I'm going to cover some design patterns. Okay. Then here when I come here, see I'm going to explain how to use Eclipse, and after that, the whole implementation of Selenium will be doing with Eclipse. I'm going to talk about and the software automation build process tool. I'm also going to talk about JUnit and TestNG, and also I'm going to talk about the identification mechanism and have some patents which I'm going to tell you that was the best strategy to identify the key components on the UI. And I'm also going to give you the framework design and also and on how to implement it. There'll be some every time I'm going to give a real time use cases whenever the concept comes. And also I'm going to do some introduction to Jenkins continuous integration, and which is something which is happening. And also I'm going to cover some part of agile methodology, and also I'm going to cover development operation DevOps as well in real time. But and also coming to Selenium here, I'm going to cover Selenium IDE, Selenium Core, Selenium Grid, and WebDriver. Okay. In addition to that, I told you I'm going to cover the Docker container. But the most advanced topics I'm going to touch base, like the Jenkins also I'm going to do a touch base. The Docker container I'm going to do a touch base. So, but what I'm going to teach you is how it's been in real time used, and what are the important, what are the actual required things which are should be known by you in this particular areas like Jenkins and Docker container. Okay, Docker container is not the part of the concept, but if the time permits, I'm going to explain the Docker container. And what else? And at runtime I am going to do some mockups also, some kind of mockups and tips I'm going to, and I'm going to teach you, I'm going to talk about a lot of interview questions which comes when you go to the interview, which I'm not going to you know have a separate session to for that. So I whenever I talk about concept, I'm also going to tell you what will be the interview question and how you have to explain as well. Okay.
Excuse me, Arvind, can I have a question?
Pardon?
Can I have a doubt? What
Yeah.
is Selenium ID? What do you mean by ID?
What is Selenium?
ID?
Okay, Selenium ID. So, is this Lavanya?
Yeah.
See, Lavanya, you are from testing background.
No.
Okay. So the point is that if you want to understand ID, I need to explain everything from the testing background. So is that fine to explain when I come to the concept, or you want me to give an overall idea of what is ID?
Okay. What ID stands for?
It's like what is that is what ID will do. I'll tell you. Wait, hold on. Let me say. Okay, so how I can explain ID here? Okay.
What is the acronym for ID?
Hold on, I'm not getting into my mind immediately when you ask me. Um, Integrated development environment. Okay. Hello?
Okay. Okay.
Integrated development environment. Okay. Got it. So ID
Okay.
is something like even if you say Eclipse is an ID. Okay.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
integrated development environment. Okay. But
Okay.
if you talk
Okay.
about Selenium IDE, it's actually it's not a, technically it's not an ID, but maybe from the concept wise they have made this an ID because what Selenium ID will do is a record playback mechanism. I think maybe once I come to the concept, you'll be understanding what is ID and how the Selenium called as an ID. No need to worry about that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? No questions. What about the course content here? Are you have any questions on the course content? Priyanka, you have any questions on the course content? No. What about Drupal? You have any?
No.
No. Lavanya, you have any questions on the course content?
No.
Nirmala? No. Okay. So tomorrow we will start core Java, real code. But before that, I just want to know what kind of environments you have. So, okay. So anybody is having a Mac OS or maybe Apple book or maybe Apple system? Yes or no? No. Drupal.
No.
Okay. Lavanya. No. So nobody's having Mac OS. Okay. So because I'm using Mac OS, so that's the reason I was asking you. Okay. So it's one and the same. No need to worry because it's one and the same what we use on Windows and Linux or Mac OS. So first thing is get Java. I'm going to show you where you have installed Java on your system. No. So let me tell you the location where you can get the Java so that you can get that thing installed and wait. You're seeing my screen? So Java. So download JDK. Okay. So this is the location you can get, but I'm just checking Java 1.7 because 1.8 something I don't recommend. Hold on. Yeah. So so what you do is you go. I'm going to copy paste this here. Okay. Go to this location and pick Windows. If you are a 64-bit system, try to pick 60. You are on Windows 10 or Windows 7. I'm not sure. But I think maybe from post Windows 7, most of 64-bit only. So what you do is you try to accept this license and then click this link. Okay, you see my screen, you click this link. I'm going to send you the copy also of this link. Okay, so as soon as you load this URL, you get this page, and then try to accept. You will have an accept license here. You see, this is how you have to accept, and then click this so it get download. And how you install other softwares, you can also install this JDK, and it get installed successfully. Okay, so this is something I want you to make this thing ready by for tomorrow's session. Okay. Hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, got it. Okay. What about Drupal? Okay.
I already downloaded.
Okay, great. Nirmala, okay. Priyanka, okay. So, any inputs for this session? Is I'm going fast, or if I'm going slow, or how is that? I just want to know, because based on your feedback, I'll try to sync my speed. I'll start with Drupal. Okay. What about Nirmala? Lavanya? I think maybe she has some complaints, definitely. Yeah.
Actually, you're very good, Arvind.
Pardon?
We- Actually, you're very good. I know. I like your class.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So let's work as a team from now. So being you're fine with my session, so let's do a teamwork from today and make sure that, because the main motto of this session to place you in a job. So let's work as a teamwork, and let's hope for the best. Okay. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay, so Priyanka is asking will be a 2 hour session. Depends on how the topic goes, Priyanka. So normally it's by standards 1.5 hour only, but sometimes I'll try to stretch half an hour more, and even if I want more than 2 hours, I'm going to stretch before. So I may start half an hour before, and I'll try to end half an hour after. But you're fine with that, right? Or anybody is working who is having a hard stop by 1.5 hour? I just want to know that. It's a good question you asked me, Priyanka. You're fine with that, what I'm talking about? Okay. Uh, 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 I know. Are there any classes starts? Frankly speaking, Priyanka, I don't understand that EST timings here. So, so you need to check with Madhu. But as you joined today, what was the time you joined? Your timing? 8 p.m. Yeah, this is how it will start. 8 p.m. and we'll try to close up by 10. I won't go till 10. I'll try to close up by 9:30 most of the times, but if required, I'll go till 10. Okay. And so everybody's fine with that. That is what my assumption right now. So what is that? Drupal, to answer Drupal's question, 8 p.m. EST. Okay. Okay. Okay then. Uh, Take care. Good night. Bye bye.